Hi fellow crafters, today I am back with another fun fold idea. This card features a unique twist on the popular easel card. I'm going to be using my Desert Details bundle and my Delicate Desert Designer Series paper. Shall we get started? If this is the first time you're visiting my channel, hi, I'm Terri from nutsaboutsstamping.com. I love sharing techniques and project ideas for rubber stamping, paper crafting, and scrapbooking with you each week. Be sure to hit that red subscribe button and the bell beside it so that you'll be the first to be notified when my next video goes live. Speaking of videos, be sure to watch all the way through this video for my bonus tips and design ideas. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator yet, I would love for you to choose me. I'll link to my online stores in the description box under this video. Now, let's get going on this unique fun fold card. Let's start off with a quick look at the Desert Details stamp set, which has 4 sentiments that I think are really nice to brighten someone's day. I think the flower images stamp up really uniquely, and I'll show you that in a minute, and they will add beauty to any project that you want to create. Now, these long images are perfect for borders or frames, or you can stamp multiples of them, one after another, to create a really cool background. I think that the flowers and the pottery patterns and the cheerful sentiments really do reflect the desert kind of motif or vibe for your cards. Although the background layer for our fun fold could be plain and then decorated with stamps, I decided to go for something different and use my Delicate Desert Designer Series paper. Whew, try and say that fast 4 times. The soft patterns have a southwestern feel with like warm greens, yellows, reds, and oranges in kind of like a boho style design. One side has an abstract desert sunset on it, and that's this one here. You can stamp on the paper, you can use it as a background, which is what we're going to do, or you can cut these paper designs into smaller pieces for accents. Let me know in the comments under this video if you want to see more project ideas using this paper, and I am happy to get designing. I want to begin by using a couple of scrap pieces of cardstock. I have Calypso Coral and I have Petal Pink, and I want to take this die from the Desert Details dies pack, and I want to die cut 2 Petal Pink and 1 Calypso Coral to use as accents, as I've already said. So I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to go over to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to die cut 1 of Calypso Coral and 2 of Petal Pink. I'll be right back. There we go. I've got these accents die cut and ready to go. Now, the next thing I want to do is bring in a scrap piece of basic white, and I've got this phrase from the Desert Details stamp set, and it says, "You are what sunshine feels like." So I'm going to ink that up using my Petal Pink ink. I'm going to stamp it down, and then I'm going to die cut it out. There we go. And I'm going to use one of the dies in the Something Fancy die pack. It's this die right here, and as you can see, it goes perfectly around this phrase. So I will go over to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'll die cut it out, and I'll come back and we'll get on to the next step of making this card. Next, I want to take a piece of basic white and my Calypso Coral ink, and I have this beautiful image from the Desert Details stamp set. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it down, and then I'm going to die cut it out as well. And look at this. I just think this is such a cool image, how it has the light and the dark. You don't have to blend anything, it's already done for you. Now in the die pack, yes, there is a die that goes perfectly around this image, so I'll go over and die cut that next. There we go, that's what the image looks like when it's die cut. Now, I'm going to bring in another piece of basic white cardstock, and I've got some scrap grid paper because what I want to do is take one of the longer stamps in the stamp set, and I want to stamp it across the top of this layer and across the bottom of this layer. And I'm going to use my Petal Pink ink again. And because I've got a long image, I'm going to put the image face up and I'm going to ink across. And since I can't really judge the length or the width, I guess, of this layer, I don't know how much ink to put on the image, so I'm just going to ink up the whole thing. I'll line it up with my grid, and then I'm going to stamp across the top, and then I'll ink it up again and stamp across the bottom. Now the next thing I want to do is add my flower in the center, and I'm going to use a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals because I'm going to pop it up a little bit. I like lift and visual interest on my cards. Now what I want to do is turn this over. Maybe I should have done this first, but too late now. And I am going to use some Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to adhere it to a layer of Petal Pink. Now the next thing I want to do is bring in a piece of Calypso Coral cardstock, and this is the layer that's going to create the fun fold for my card. So I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored, and I'm going to line up my cardstock along the top, and I'm going to score it at 2 inches, and I'm going to score it at 4 inches, like so. Then I want to fold this flap back like so, and then I'm going to fold this one and burnish it with my bone folder. And then we're going to use this, as I've said, to create the fun fold for the card. I am going to attach this fun fold layer to a layer of the Delicate Desert paper. I've chosen this design. Now I'm going to turn over my fun fold layer, and I'm going to bring in my silicone mat here. I'm going to add some Stampin' Seal to the flap that bends over, and I'm going to attach it to this layer like so. Now the next thing I want to do is bring in these elements that I created, and I want to add them as a focus element for this layer. So I am going to use my, oh my goodness, I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'll adhere these 3 down logically so you can see what they look like. I'll be back in a moment. All right, this layer is coming together nicely. I'm going to bring back in my silicone sheet again, just in case some of this glue is not quite dried yet. And what I want to do is put some Stampin' Seal on the back of this layer, and then I'm going to adhere it to another layer. And I'm going to adhere this layer to a layer of basic white. And the reason that I decided to put this layer on basic white instead of maybe another contrasting color is that I can flip it over and I can write on the back, because this is now my card in its entirety. So there's no more layers, like there's no card that's going to open one way or the other. So that's why I chose basic white as a layer. Now, let's attach this layer next. And what we're going to do is add some Stampin' Seal only to the bottom part of this flap. And then I'm going to lay my layer down like so. There we go. So that it folds up and down like this. So you can't really see the Calypso Coral layer because I added a layer of Petal Pink underneath the basic white. So if you wanted to make your Calypso coral visible, you would just make it a little bit wider, but keep to the same length. Just change the width. And now let's add this phrase next. Now the phrase is what's going to help keep this flap open. So I'm going to move the flap out of the way for a second, and I'm going to add my phrase. I'm just going to move it over a little bit more. Like so. And I put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of it so that it'll help give it some lift, which will then ultimately help keep the flap open. Okay, let me just bring it in a little bit closer to you so you can see how it is an easel card, but it's not an easel card in the traditional sense because the easel is actually over to the left-hand side of the card front, which makes it a unique twist. Now let's talk about embellishments. I have a brand new pack of these brushed metallic adhesive back dots. And these center dots I think are really pretty because they kind of have like an orangey tone to them. So I am going to add some of these dots to my fun fold layer. Maybe I'll put one over here. And then I like to do my embellishments in threes. Maybe I'll put one right there, because that speaks to me. And there we go. My card is looking really good, and it sits up like a little easel, like so. Would you like to see another easel card idea? Then why not watch this video next? And if you would like a complete listing of the supplies that I use, the measurements for the layers, and the ordering numbers in case you would like to order the stamp set and die pack or designer series paper, I will link to my blog article in the description box under this video. Click on the link, head over there, and you'll get all the information you need. I'm Terry. I am nuts about stamping. I hope you'll try this fun fold idea someday soon, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye for now.